Welcome back. You're watching Big Deal and we are discussing the impact of lead emission issues in the country and the corporate action on that. Now, we were discussing the issue as well as the gravity of the situation. Harsha, what do you have to say about the ESG side and the sustainability thrust by corporate India? And can lead emission problem be solved for or at least funded through this very aspect of the industry?
Nisha, definitely as part of the various ESG criteria that have been discussed both in our industry and also at a national level, lead recycling plays a key role, especially in this industry, given that lead is recovered at that 98-99% rate. And new batteries can largely come off of this circular economy. The only issues here is, yes, we would have to invest heavily into a reverse logistics mechanism, and also the prices in India of what we call desi lead, which is the spot purchase of lead from the domestic market, usually is not equatable to the primary lead sources. That is something that needs to be sorted out, and that's also a cost to compliance. But that being said, as a producer, we're fully committed and capable to be able to increase our usage of recycled lead and ensure that recycled lead is being recycled through, once again, effective and safe means.
Right. So, Navin, taking forward the point that Harsha has been mentioning now and re-emphasizing, now the division between the organized and unorganized recycling of lead is huge. Do you think the government has done something to incentivize organized players, or do you think that the tax system and the GST has really made it even more difficult?
Isha, as of now, there is no specific incentive to the industry for recycling. As in developed nations, a consumer is charged for recycling. Here, consumer is paid for the scrap. And the change in the tax structure post GST, there is a tax of 18% on the used lead acid battery or end of life lead acid batteries, which used to be 5% pre-GST era. So this 18% is a big number, and this is a good incentive for informal sector, who do not have much cost of recycling. The infrastructure cost is very low. Unless either the cost of GST has been brought to zero or at very low level, 5%, or there is some other mechanism where is the GST has to be paid by the recycler himself, and then recycle can claim the GST. So it will help us to not going most batteries to the informal sector. So industry has also requested ministry to bring this particular scrap under reverse charge mechanism, where recycler pay the tax. So there is no fake billing, no informal sector to come in the picture. But challenge is this particular regulations of waste management comes under Ministry of Environment and Forest, taxation comes under Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Finance, while as a non-ferrous recycler, we fall under Ministry of Mines. So there is a interaction between various governments.
Yes.
So that is the one challenge which we are following up from our association side.
All right. So building that consensus amongst different ministries is also a challenge that this industry faces to address the lead issue problem. Richard, what in your view is the biggest issue, and where can government take that big step?
Yeah, I think we also need to remember that battery recycling, especially improper battery recycling, creates acute toxic hotspots that will poison hundreds, maybe 1,000 children around them. But there is a whole other area of lead exposures going on, mostly in the kitchen. And here we're seeing lead being added to turmeric because lead chromate is a yellow industrial pigment, and it makes it look better and more attractive for sale. And we're also finding lead in pottery and aluminium cookware, which itself also needs to be addressed. So the response from government at a regulatory level to deal with these things that are in everyone's houses, especially the poorest, that also needs to be put into the equation.
All right, so there are several aspects, and what has been your finding when it comes to India in particular? How many sites? And how have you cleaned up some of the sites? What has been the mechanism which has worked so far, Richard?
Yeah, these toxic sites have been a focus for us, and we've identified several hundred of them just with a very small study in one state alone. So we think that there are many thousands of them across India. We've also gone in and done a couple of pilot cleanup projects just to show that it can be done inexpensively, and taken an old, abandoned, contaminated site and cleaned it up so that it's safe for the local communities. And we've done that in Bihar and Tamil Nadu and just some success. So that it is possible to go through and fix this particular side of the equation reasonably easily.
Right. So, Harsha, while there are many other aspects, but the biggest emitter of lead and contamination has been the battery industry. Now, the electric vehicle segment is also growing, and that will also require lead battery as they use two types of batteries. What is the onus and the responsibility that the automobile makers can really take in this particular regard, especially because battery is just so critical for the automobile sector?
Well, when it comes to the automobile manufacturers, there's a little bit of there's a lack of clarity when we look at the BWMR rules. Automobile manufacturers would be considered bulk consumers, but it is the first application of the battery in that vehicle's lifetime. So there's no replacement coming up. A lot of the BWMR rules have replacement in mind. So I think some clarity needs to be brought out there. With EVs, like you said, Nisha, there's a battery system that is responsible for the traction of the vehicle. And there are lower voltage requirements also, which largely are being plugged by lead acid battery chemistry at the moment. So where lead acid is clearly there, I think the methods we've discussed will still be relevant. For the lithium battery packs, I know the BWMR rules have specified a longer start date, and there are collection targets that have been proposed, but it's a little too soon to say. I think as the market transforms, I think that clarity will come.
Right. So there is a lack of clarity, and probably that is something that the government can really look into as policy. But standardization, how important is that, Navin, in this context? And what are the most important issues at hand in solving the lead emission issue?
Nisha, basically, the formal recycling in India, over 1,500 recyclers are being given license to operate lead recycling. But more than 90% are not environment friendly because there is no standardization. So industry has already suggested that there should be some minimum capacity, some minimum plant and machinery infrastructure requirement, like minimum capacity of 20,000 ton lead production. All developed countries have very less number of recyclers. If you see Korea, where they recycle equal number of battery with the help of 10 to 12 recyclers, and we are here 1,500. So how can this model be commercially sustainable? It is suggested that with a capacity of 20,000, 25,000 tons per annum recycling capacity, we should have more than 30, 35 recyclers across the country, so that the Ministry or the Environment Pollution Control Boards can also monitor them. Otherwise, they cannot monitor that big number. This is not only the industry for them to monitor. And when it comes to other batteries, so in this regulation, lithium-ion battery and other batteries are also considered. In BWMR, it was earlier only for lead-acid battery. Now all type of battery are being covered in this. So we hope the automobile sector, other batteries will also be part of this regulation.
All right, the entire industry's action as well as concerted effort is required. Richard, your final thoughts for Pure Earth's plans, action plan for India for the eradication of this contamination, and what do you think is really going to work? And also, I must mention that a lot of private equity industry players have looked at waste management as an area of potential. Is the funding also flowing in this particular space as the awareness grows?
Yeah, there is. It's a very early stages of dealing with this problem in India. Other countries where we're active are further along in in looking at these problems and solving them. I think our role in this as we move forward, we're a technical agency, a nonprofit who has a great deal of technical skills in looking at all of these different exposures to lead and from many, many different countries. So we can bring that expertise to governments, to industry and the rest to help to navigate through as this issue gets more attention and more funding from different sources to be able to solve it. So we're very keen to assist in the communication strategies, in providing the technical resources to deal with managing these problems at a sustainable level. It's going to take several decades, but the benefit from doing this will be enormous for India.
All right, a very, very important issue, and we are just about at a very nascent stage in first identifying this problem and then solving for it. A concerted effort and a lot of funding, as well as giving up some margin from the industry is also required, and an action plan by the government, as well as standardization of the safety norms by the government, as well as the Pollution Control Board, is also the need of the hour. This particular topic is going to increase, it's going to gain momentum in coming times, but we have given or laid out at least the basic problem and where we are at the moment. Thank you so much, Harsha, Navin, as well as Richard, for bringing this important issue to light, which is affecting 50% of the children in the country because of lead contamination. With that, it's a wrap on Big Deal. Thanks so much for tuning in.